On the night of March 13, 1997, the skies over Arizona became a stage for one of the most profound and widely witnessed mass UFO sightings in modern history. What unfolded over several hours would captivate a nation, baffle experts, and leave a permanent mark on the collective consciousness of a million people. It began as a series of strange lights seen by thousands from the Nevada border all the way down to the edge of Tucson. But it was over the city of Phoenix where the event reached its breathtaking climax. This is the story of the Phoenix Lights. Our story begins around 7:30 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. Calls started trickling into local police departments and news stations. A man in Henderson, Nevada, reported seeing a massive V-shaped craft with 6 lights on its leading edge. He described it as being the size of a 747, but utterly silent. As the minutes ticked by, more reports flooded in from towns across Arizona: Prescott, Dewey, Paulden. The descriptions were startlingly consistent: a gigantic, dark, triangular, or V-shaped object gliding silently through the night sky, blotting out the stars as it passed overhead. But then you realize it's too big, far too big. No rumble of engines, no whoosh of air, just an unnerving, profound silence. This was the experience of countless families, drivers, and off-duty police officers that evening. They described a feeling of awe mixed with a deep, primal fear. It felt, as one witness later put it, like the world was ending. By 8:15 p.m., the object had reached the outskirts of Phoenix. The calls to 911 became a deluge. In the suburb of Cave Creek, a family watched the colossal shape pass directly over their home. They estimated it was less than 1,000 feet up, a solid, dark mass against the slightly less dark sky, with 5 distinct amber-colored lights arranged in a perfect V. They weren't blinking like conventional aircraft lights. They glowed with a steady, otherworldly luminescence. One of the most compelling accounts came from a man named Tim Lay. He and his family were in their backyard when they saw the lights approaching. He grabbed his binoculars, expecting to see a formation of planes. Instead, he saw a solid object. A craft so enormous it defied all logic. He described seeing panels and structural details on its underside, a dark, non-reflective material that seemed to absorb the light around it. The craft was so low and moved so slowly, he felt like he could have thrown a rock and hit it. Then, around 10 p.m., the second and perhaps most famous phase of the event began. A new set of lights appeared, hovering in a stationary arc over the Estrella Mountains, just southwest of Phoenix. A local man, Dr. Lynn Kaite, a physician who had seen strange lights in the area before, was ready with her camera. She, along with thousands of others, filmed a string of bright, amber orbs hanging motionless in the sky. The footage was electrifying. News channels interrupted their regular programming. The phones at Luke Air Force Base, located just west of Phoenix, rang off the hook. People were demanding answers. What was happening over their city? The official response was, at first, silence, then confusion. The Federal Aviation Administration had nothing on radar. The National Weather Service confirmed clear skies. It seemed for a moment that the authorities were as baffled as the public. The next day, the story exploded. The Arizona Republic newspaper ran a front-page story. National news networks picked it up. The grainy home videos were analyzed and debated. But the official explanation, when it finally came, felt hollow to those who had seen the event firsthand. The military claimed the 10 p.m. lights, the ones captured on video, were simply flares, dropped by a 10 Warthog aircraft during a training exercise called Operation Snowbird. At the Barry M. Goldwater Range, this explanation satisfied some, but for many witnesses, it raised more questions than it answered. All were stationary in a perfect geometric formation and remained visible for several minutes before slowly fading out one by one. Furthermore, the flare explanation did absolutely nothing to address the hours of sightings of a gigantic, silent V-shaped craft that had traversed the entire state. Witnesses were adamant. What they saw was not a formation of jets, and it was certainly not a string of military flares. The governor of Arizona at the time, Fife Symington, initially mocked the incident at a press conference, bringing an aide out dressed in an alien costume. It was a move he would later come to deeply regret. Years later, after leaving office, Symington publicly confessed that he, too, had witnessed the massive V-shaped craft that night. A former Air Force pilot himself, he knew what planes looked like, and this was not a plane. He described it as otherworldly. He admitted he had ridiculed the event to prevent mass panic, but confirmed that what he saw was a genuine, unexplained aerial phenomenon. His confession gave new life to the mystery. If the governor himself saw a UFO, what else were officials hiding? The military's flare story began to look less like an explanation and more like a convenient cover story. Investigators pointed out that the timeline didn't quite match. The A-10s reportedly dropped their flares around 10 p.m., but some video evidence suggests the stationary lights were visible well before that. And what about the first craft, the city-sized boomerang that flew silently over thousands of people? The military's official stance on that part of the sighting was nothing, complete silence. They claimed their radar showed nothing, saw nothing, and knew nothing. This led to a deep-seated distrust. Near a major Air Force base and go completely undetected, it seemed impossible. This would explain the silence, the unusual shape, and the military's subsequent denial. They wouldn't be lying about seeing a UFO. They would simply be covering up their own classified project. But this theory also has holes. Why test such a vehicle over a densely populated city, guaranteeing thousands of witnesses? It's a reckless move for an organization obsessed with secrecy. This leads us back to the most unsettling possibility, that the Phoenix Lights were exactly what the witnesses believed them to be. A craft of unknown origin piloted by an intelligence far beyond our own, making its presence known in a calm, deliberate, and undeniable way. The sheer scale of the event is what makes it so hard to dismiss. This wasn't a lone light in the sky seen by one or two people. This was a sustained event witnessed by a cross-section of society doctors, pilots, police officers, families across 300 miles of territory. The testimonies are consistent, detailed, and filled with a sense of profound wonder and disbelief. They didn't see flares. They didn't see a formation of planes. They saw something solid, structured, and silent. Something that shouldn't exist. Decades later, the Phoenix Lights incident remains a powerful and unresolved enigma. The official explanation feels inadequate, a flimsy patch over a gaping hole in our understanding of the world. The footage, the eyewitness accounts, and the confession of a governor all point to a truth that is far more complex and perhaps far more disturbing than a simple military drill. The lights over Phoenix on that March night in 1997 forced us to look up and ask the biggest question of all: are we alone? And for a few fleeting hours, for thousands of people in the Arizona desert, the answer seemed to be a resounding and silent no. The sky is not always what it seems. And sometimes what it holds is a mystery that will stay with us forever. And that's a wrap on another mind-bending mystery. Thank you so much for joining me on this journey into the unknown. I truly appreciate every single one of you whose curiosity brought you to the end. Please don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel so you won't miss our next dive into the unknown. Your support means the world and helps us keep uncovering more secrets. Now, I want to hear from you. What mystery should we try to unveil next? Drop your suggestions in the comments down below. I read every single one, and your idea might just be our next big investigation. Until then, stay curious, keep questioning, and I'll see you in the next video.